I'm the current scholarship coach with the men's basketball program at the AIS. A little bit about my background basketball-wise. I've been coaching 20 years. Started when I was 13. At a similar level to many of you guys, working with under 8s and under 10s, and I really caught the bug pretty early. I love the ability to feel like I'm having an impact on shaping people's lives in a positive way, and I think coaching is a great vehicle for being able to do that. So, firstly, I can congratulate you guys for also taking that step, whether it be willingly or you've been forced into it because no one else was willing to put their hand up. The great thing is when you take the opportunity to do courses like this, your knowledge, confidence, and everything about the way you present yourself really improves, and I think it just makes the process of coaching more enjoyable. So that's certainly going to be my goal here today, is to make you feel a little bit more comfortable in what you're teaching. I've sort of spoken to everyone individually, and we've got a bit of a range through age groups from under 12s all the way through to under 16s, some athletes with disabilities. So, the range of what we cover today, I'll try and cater for everyone, but essentially what we're doing is focusing on athletes that are just beginning out, and just trying to, our goal working with them is to do a couple of things. Firstly, help them really enjoy their basketball experience a lot more so they keep coming back, and secondly, to give them a little bit of knowledge and skill development so they feel that they've got a sense of progression. I might just, start by throwing out some of the challenges that you're currently facing with your coaching, because as much as possible, whilst we've got a structure that we're going to stick to today, if I can tailor the course towards your needs, you're going to get a lot more value out of it. So I'll just open it up, to anyone that's got any sort of challenges that they're currently facing with their coaching that they want us to have a look at, and I can give you some feedback on whether that's going to be possible or not. Any thoughts? Talk to us. Are you currently coaching? No? I'm not coaching. Yeah. Yep. Okay. Moving along the line. Starting next week. Might have some horror options there. Yep. Well, give me just some of the sort of challenges. How are the kids responding to your training sessions? Yeah. Absolutely, yeah. So I'll just sort of, talk about those 2 points as a starting point. First one was just having a structure within a club, and whilst we'll focus more on your specific team, one of the things that I do think is important is that and today we'll really concentrate on how you conduct a training session. We'll talk a little bit about, overall coaching philosophies, but it's really more about taking it from the point of starting a training session, running a great training session, and keeping kids engaged. And that sort of links in with the second point, which is sometimes kids, you sort of get a little bit ratty or they're inconsistent. But I think, if we do a great job as coaches in structuring a great training session that challenges them, but also incorporates a lot of fun approaches, then we often take care of the kids' attention, but also then, sort of issues that you face with parents. So I think that'll really help. And just coming back to having a little bit of structure, we'll really focus on a couple of key skills today. And what I would like to do is give you sort of 2 or 3 different options that you can run at training to work on dribbling skills, to work on your warm-up, to work on passing. And that way you've got sort of 3 or 4 options and you can vary up your session. But generally speaking, I think there should be a component of warm-up in every session, a component of ball handling or dribbling, a component of shooting, a component of passing, and a component of defense. So I would say they're the 4 pillars that we'll probably sort of focus on a little bit today. Some other things that I just wanted to talk about, that sort of reference those 2 points. There'll be some real focus points that you'll notice with the way we conduct the session. The first one is we're going to take a game sense approach. Does anyone have any ideas about what game sense means and how it applies to the way we coach?
That should be fine. We're going to check it very shortly.
Well, game sense is something that's sort of been very popular now. The last 10 years, we're trying to incorporate it into our programs, and even at the AIS, it's something that we've now shifted a little bit more towards. But it's basically the concept of teaching through games, or teaching through competitions. So once upon a time, certainly when I was growing up learning basketball, everything was drill-based. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's actually a really good way to get repetitions up and to teach. But the problem with a lot of drills is they're not overly dynamic. And the game of basketball is incredibly dynamic. It's you never get the same situation on the court. And so game sense does a couple of things. It improves an athlete's ability to make decisions and make the correct decisions. It essentially is more enjoyable for them. There's a competitive aspect, and a lot of the time there's what we call multi-skilling involved. So instead of just learning one thing, they're learning 3 or 4 things in a drill, and I think that's a great habit you can get into bringing into your sessions. Second thing we're going to focus on is hopefully you'll see a level of progression, and I think that's really key for keeping players engaged. So when we do a drill, we'll start it at a really basic level, and then we'll progress it up. And I think if you jump straight to the more high-end, the more challenging areas, sometimes you lose some of the athletes along the way. So the level of progression is really important. And you'll notice that just with the difficulty of the drills, but also there'll be a progression where we'll do something in a 1-on-0 environment. So the athlete might be learning layups. They'll do that without any defense, just to learn the skill, but then we'll progress it to a 1-on-1 environment. So they're competing and they're actually practicing the skill in a more dynamic environment, and eventually you want to then progress it to a 5-on-5 environment. So that'll be some of the things we work on. And the other thing that you'll sort of notice is I'll put a big emphasis on learning. And one of the ways I do that is I'll often ask you guys a lot of questions. So, if we're talking about defense, I'll sort of throw random questions out to you guys to sort of challenge your mind as well as your body. And I think that's a great habit to get into with the kids. It does 2 things. It keeps them engaged because they don't mentally switch off because you're constantly checking in with them. But it also actually gets them thinking about the why. And that's something that we often don't teach well in basketball. We teach the how, but athletes really need to know the why. So there's some of the things that we'll focus on throughout the session. It's also going to be highly interactive, so hopefully you guys are ready to be actively involved. You'll be our demonstrators, and I think that's a great way for you to learn as well. So if there's no other questions, we might get into it. Just if you've got any mobile phones as well, just if you want to switch them on silent or just switch them off for the next hour and a half to 2 hours, and yeah, we'll get started. So, can I get one line, please, over here in the corner? Everyone standing up. Now, would you be okay to run those or rather watch? Yeah, absolutely. Perfect. And that's another thing. If anyone's got any injuries or they really don't feel comfortable being actively involved, no issues with that. But otherwise, we'll try and get everyone up and into the drills. Okay, so we're going to start over in the corner over here. One of the things I really like to do early in the session is use reference points. So at different times you'll hear me refer to specific spots in the court. Over here we've got a corner, so we'll just get one nice line here. John, correct? Yep, beautiful. So one line behind John, and we're going to be facing this way. So, talk to me about some of the important things about a warm-up. What would be the purpose of a warm-up? Where do we get to before? So Ray, talk to me about the importance of a warm-up. Yep. Perfect. So important to warm up to reduce the risk of injury and also just to make sure that you're ready to go. Any other thoughts, Ali? Cool. So for me, warm-up is about 2 things. It's about warming up the core temperature of the body, getting you physically warmed up, but it's also about getting you mentally warmed up. And I think that second component is equally as important. We're going to start with a sequence of body movement. Depending on the group you're coaching, I'll give you 3 different approaches to warm-ups that you can take. The body movement, I think, is certainly good just for developing basic motor skills, but I'd be mindful working with young kids not to spend too long on it. I think we want to get them into a more fun, enjoyable approach, but it's certainly valuable for you guys to I guess know and work with. So we'll do about 6 different body movement exercises. What we're going to do is I'll give you the exercise to do. The first one will be high knees running, which I'll explain in a second. We're going to do that along the baseline from this corner all the way to the other corner, and then you'll just jog at a regular pace diagonally across the court to this side here at halfway, and just along the halfway line, same body movement, and then we'll jog back, and you can just maybe move the basketballs to the side when we do that, and I'll give you a new exercise. With all these exercises, there's a focus on having soft feet. Okay, so I don't want to hear your feet. The softer we can be, the better, because what that essentially does is it means you have less contact time on the ground with your foot, and it means that you're into your next movement a lot better. We want to have our head above our toes. That's really going to improve our balance, and we want to focus on using our arms as much as we do with our legs. So the first exercise will be high knees running. We'll have arms at 90-degree angles. Emphasis on driving the elbows back behind us. Knees will come up, nice straight back, head over our toes, and just small steps. Once again, nice soft feet, all the way to the corner. When we get there, we're going to come back. We're going to drop right in to come back. Okay, so if you want to lead us off, John, and just when John gets a metre or 2 ahead, then the next person follows along. Beautiful. Nice soft feet. Head over toes. That's outstanding, John. Good job. And just jogging diagonally up to halfway. Beautiful. And we've got some athletes in this group. I like that. High knees running. So you guys did a great job of that. Sometimes with athletes, I find when they're running, particularly with their arms, they may be milking cows where they're not moving from the elbows. It's just their hands moving back and forth, sort of like that. So anytime you can use imagery like milking cows to sort of explain what they're doing, I think that can really enhance just the image they get in their head. Now we've got the movement pattern. I don't want to run you guys into the ground. So what we'll do is, with athletes, I would definitely have them follow that pattern. What we're going to do is we'll do the body movement along the baseline, jog diagonally to half court, and I'll give you another body movement to do at half court, just so we speed it up and get through it a little bit quicker. So next one is high heels. So the heels are kicking up at the back. We've still got an emphasis on working our arms, keeping our head over our toes, but now the legs kick up at the back. Knees will point directly to the ground. It's almost as though you've got an arrow through your knees that are locking them in together. So high heels running. All right. You're out. So like that. All right. So let's just high heels on the baseline. Just once again follow along with that. Beautiful. Next exercise. Here we go. Good move. So keep those knees pointing directly to the ground, Saraya, and it's just kicking up at the back. This is the second part of the running motion. We lift our knee up at the start and we kick our heels back at the end. And just when you get to half court, John, I'll give you a new one. Just hold up, John. We'll go a new one now, just on this one. So now we're going grapevine, and the way that I do this is I call it tight grapevine. So the feet are really close together. Our foot that's further behind will go in front. We'll take a step and then go behind. So it's really small steps, twisting at the hips. What you'll also notice is we want to have our hands extended out to the side, and our hands go opposite to our feet. So hands are opposite to our feet, nice tight steps. Just for the sake of this, because we're only doing one direction, when we get to the split line of the court, the middle of the court, I want you to turn around and face the other way. If you can do that in one motion, that'd be great. Here we go, tight grapevine. Quick steps, good job. Tighter. Keep really small steps. When you get to half of the split line, turn around, face the opposite direction. Beautiful. Have those hands out, hands go opposite to feet. Really small steps, beautiful. Extended great pop. Same action now, except we're looking to take big long steps. We're getting some bounce into our step now. Knee will come up nice and high over the top. So it's like lift the knee up, it comes up and over the top, my hands balance. When we get to the split line, we switch it up. Here we go. Yeah, if you want to sit this one out, feel free to. See how you go. Beautiful, knee up nice and high. Good. One's in front, one's behind. Now you don't have to necessarily jump on it, it's just getting some range of movement through your hip flexor. Crazy legs running. Your feet will go the opposite side to the line. So the right foot will go to the left side of the line, left foot will go to the right side of the line. And what we're focusing on here is the chest will point forward. So with all of these drills, we're trying to just improve the flexion and movement through the hips and through the pelvis region, okay? So crazy legs running, up on your toes, nice soft feet and big long steps. Here we go, John. Beautiful. Give yourself as much space you need, really big steps, step it out, fantastic. All right, two more. Crisscross, okay? This will be our home position, one foot either side of the line. We're going to cross our feet, and then we're going to come back to home. Cross our feet, come back to home. Okay, so the feet are moving really quickly. We'll just do this one to the split line. Okay, so just to the middle of the court, and then we can jog it off to the other side. Here we go. Good job. Once again, head over our toes, nice straight back, really soft feet. Always come back to home. Really small steps, quick feet. That's good, Ali. Make sure you just come back to that home position. Good. Good. Beautiful, and just walking back to here. I think, fantastic. All right, last one is back pedal, okay? I think this is a really critical skill that we're teaching. With all of these movements, I think they're important, but certainly back pedal is something that, you're going to see, maybe 5% of the time on a basketball court where a person has to run backwards, they have to do it with balance, they have to do it with speed. So the focus on back pedal is we actually want really long steps, and I think one of the mistakes that kids naturally make is they have a tendency to lean backwards when they run backwards, which will often cause them to fall over. So our emphasis is going to be our head and body is going to be pointing slightly forward. We're going to go big long steps, and once again we're going to work our arms, driving our elbows behind us, bent at 90-degree angle. So it's going to look like this. Big long steps, just looking in front. Okay? We'll give each other a little bit more room this time, just so you feel completely comfortable that you're not going to run into anyone. Here we go, John. All right, big long steps, slight forward lean. Good job. Next person up. Here we go. Slight forward lean. Beautiful. Big long steps. Push back hard. Quick, quick, quick. Fantastic, John. And then just jogging it back to the start. Okay, just jump into the baseline for us, please. So talk to me a little bit about that warm-up. What do we feel in our body? Stephen? Yeah, Stephen. Feel the heart rate up, so that's a good thing. Yep. What about in terms of the mental capacity? I forgot your name, sorry. Sarah.
Well, it's making me up.
Yeah, good. And that's our goal. I think with all your warm-ups, you want to challenge the athletes physically, you want to challenge them mentally. My only criticism of, body movement is it can be a little bit boring. I think it's highly functional, highly valuable, but I just think we've got to be mindful that if we do an activity that, is fairly, you know, it doesn't have a high competitive environment, you want to then follow it up with something that's a little bit more competitive afterwards. So what we're going to do is show you another type of warm-up that you can do using the game sense approach. If we can get you two to pair up and grab a ball between two, if you want to organise that. Pair up, grab a ball between two, pair up, grab a ball between two, pair up, grab a ball between two. And John, do you want to get involved or do you want to sit on the sideline? Fantastic. We'll just stick to this drill. Okay, so you pair up with John here. Here's the way dribble tag's going to work. We're going to play in the half-court area. The person with the ball will be trying to tag the person without the ball. Okay? When you have a ball, you must dribble. Alright? So you must dribble to chase after the person. Now the way we tag is we dribble with one hand and we tag with the other hand. We're not tagging them with the ball, we're tagging them with our hand. Person without the ball, you can run whatever direction you want, whatever speed you want, as long as you run within the half-court area. Okay? When you hear the whistle blow, that will be time to change over. And we're going to do this for about 15 seconds, the whistle will blow. So they're really short stints. When you hear the whistle blow, the person with the ball, give the ball to your partner and the roles will reverse. Okay? We'll do this around about 4 times. So we'll go 15 seconds, 15 seconds, 15 seconds, 15 seconds. Are there any questions about that? Yep. What's that, sorry? Yeah, you must dribble while you do it. Any hand, you know, any style of dribble, but you must keep dribbling. Okay? Now, now we're tagging with the hand, okay? And I think particularly with kids, that's a really important distinction to make. So they dribble with one hand, tag with the other hand, and obviously the person without the ball is trying to get away. So, person with the ball, just up. And just holding the basketballs for a second, jump back to the baseline. It's all good. That's why we practice the back pedal, John. Person with the ball, person without the ball, can you jump out onto the court and give yourself maybe a 3 to 5 metre head start? Okay, and feel free to spread out. Once again, we're just within the half-court line. Okay? If there's no other questions, ready, go! Your goal is to tag them as many times as you can in the 15 seconds. Goal is to tag them as many times as you can in the 15 seconds. Switch it up. Ball to the opposition, switch it up. Head up, know where you're running. Know where you're running. Stay within the half court. Switch it up. Here we go, don't get tagged this time. Don't get tagged. Switch it up. Baseline, jump to the baseline. Here we go, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So give me some feedback on that warm-up. How do we feel after that one, Alex? Tough? Yeah, you know, you're definitely working hard. You know, we went from maybe a minute there, probably close to 50 seconds. So within a minute space, you know, we've got the athletes into a drill, we've got them running around, and we've got them practicing some really important basketball skills. So what were some of the skills that we practiced throughout that drill? Absolutely, keeping your eyes on another player. Now, when we teach dribbling, one of the things we're going to focus on is being able to dribble with the eyes up, which is really important so that you can see where you're going, you can see defenders, but most importantly, you can see teammates that might be open to be able to pass the ball ahead to. So through this game, without actually asking you to keep your eyes up, you know, we're naturally teaching that skill. What else did we teach? What about the person who doesn't have the ball? What did you find that you did that made it, I guess, harder for the other person to be able to tag you? Change direction, yep. Decision making, just being able to recognise where space was and, you know, just sort of determining where you thought that you might be able to run to. Change of speed potentially. So some of that body movement stuff that we've taught in a basic drill scenario, we're able to, I guess, teach in a similar sort of sense, but you know, maybe in a more enjoyable way. You know, I don't know. Was that more enjoyable than the body movement? Yeah. So you know, generally that's what we find. So I think that the more opportunities that you can, you know, I guess, use these game sense approaches, the better. Okay. Did anyone not get tagged at all? Very good. Very good. Did anyone get tagged more than 5 times? So I like to put an emphasis on keeping things competitive. You know, I know there's a push in the wider community to, you know, not highlight competitive, but I think we play a competitive sport. You know, so we have a winner. Good job, Sarah, getting it done. Normally we would have push-ups for losers, but that's all right. We'll save those because you guys look like you're all in pristine physical condition anyway. No need to do any extra push-ups. All right. Next game we're going to do, and once again, this is a warm-up game, so what I would suggest is, yes, question, yep?
In the warm-ups, obviously, you know, kids have got dribble,
yep.
kids do foot fouls. How hard are they doing that? You know, and obviously, 12, 14-year-olds let it run, but after a while, and they're actually understand their column.
Yeah, I think what you do is, you know, my very first training session with them, I wouldn't worry too much about, you know, the mistakes they're making. But you want to combine with this game sense approach a little bit of education as well. So throughout these drills that we'll do, you'll get a sense of that level of progression and the level of teaching, and we'll certainly try and teach the rules of the game whilst we're teaching this. So, you know, if I did that with a group of kids for the first time, and they were double dribbling with 2 hands, I would maybe look to coach on the run with that. So you saw me, you heard me at different times say, head up, look where you're going. That's an example of coaching on the run, whereas I think there's a tendency too much with our coaching where we blow the whistle, stop the kids, bring them in, you know, talk to them, and mentally they switch off after about 30 seconds. So the more you can coach on the run, so an example that might be dribbling with 1 hand only, and you're just constantly repeating that phrase. That would probably be the approach to that, but then as you'll see with the session as we go on, there's also a level of progression with the teaching where we're actually educating them on what the rules of the game are. One other final point with that I wanted to bring up, and this is one of the challenges you face with the game sense approach. What did you, I mean, in terms of the drill being, I guess, safe, unsafe, which of the 2 was the safer of the 2, do you think? What's that, sorry? Yeah, and what in terms of the body movement and the dribble and the dribble tag? Yep. That's right. Okay. Yeah, I would actually say probably the opposite. I reckon the dribble tag is a little bit more uncontrolled, and probably the chance of 2 players colliding into each other is a little bit higher. So that's one of the challenges of, you know, game sense approach. It's sometimes it can look a little bit messy, it can look like a rabble, you know, and there is that greater potential for injury. However, I think, you know, as long as we provide a safe space, and, you know, I really tried to be very clear with the instructions at the start in terms of talking about the boundaries that we can operate within, talking about the way we tag people. I probably didn't do a good enough job of just mentioning to build that awareness and having people around you. But as long as we're really good with our communication at the start, you know, there shouldn't be too many issues with the safety factor of the game sense approach. All right, next warm-up game we're going to play is a game called Pass Tag. So, did you want to join in on this, or because we can go 3 groups of 3, we'll be fine. Perfect. All right, so let's go 1, 2, 3. You're a group, and can we get 1 basketball, please? 1, 2, 3. You're a group. 1 basketball. 1, 2, 3. 1 basketball. We're going to play this game within the 3-point line. Okay, so we'll set this up. Jump inside the 3-point line. This group, and we're going to play with the big 3-point line, the white 3-point line. Okay. So we've got Rod and Soraya are going to be partners in this, and they're going to be working on trying to tag Sarah. Okay? The way they do this is they can't move whilst they've got the ball in their hands. Okay? So if you don't have the ball, you can run, get as close to Sarah as possible, Saraya can pass the ball. And once again, when we tag, we're going to catch the ball, hold the ball in one hand, tag with our free hand. Okay? So your objective is to work together, passing the ball back and forth. Your objective is to just not be tagged. Okay? You should change direction, change the speed to be able to get away from them. Okay? Any questions just from you three? Because we've got a quick demonstration, and if it all looks good, we'll set everyone up on their courts. You'll be right. There's two of you should be fine. And just as a side note, we can do this drill with, I would say anywhere from 2 people to 4 people as taggers. So if you've got 10 people at your training session, and if you're fortunate enough to have 2 ends, you can do it down one end or down the other. Or if you've got a half court, I would just split them up so that I would play one group inside the 3-point line, one group outside the 3-point line. Any questions from you, Seth? You good to go? Yep. The white 3. Actually, let's play the yellow 3-point line for now, because we do have a smaller group. Okay. All right. Let's have a look at this. Ready? Go. Good job. Move the ball. Work together. Kick on. So that's the basic drill. Okay, we didn't get a tag in there, but with a little bit more time working together, I think they might have. We're going to go for around about 15 to 20 seconds each person. So within your group of 3, can you just work out your order? And when the whistle blows, whoever's next to be tagged, I just want you to put your hand up just so both people know. If you've got the ball, hand it back to the other 2, and we'll keep going. The objective is to tag the person as many times as you can in the 20 seconds. So if you tag them, give them a half a second to get away, and then we go after them again. We can get them 2 or 3 times in 20 seconds. That's outstanding work. Obviously, if you're the person that they're trying to tag, your objective is to be able to move away from them. So if we get this group down this end for us, inside the 3-point line, and get you guys just over here inside the 3-point line. Quickly work your order out. Alright, so we've got the order worked out down this end. Yep, order worked down this end. We've got the order worked out. Beautiful. Ready, go! Good job, work on time. Good job. Next person, here we go. Hand up so we know who we're going after. Good job. Work on passing the ball. Try and work together. Pass the ball, work together. Good job. Next person. Here we go. Stay within the boundaries, within the yellow line. Back to the baseline. Here we go. 5, 4, 3, 1, way to jog it in. Good job, guys. Okay, so feedback on natural, and once again, I'm looking at people that are properly warmed up, and we went for once again around about a minute there. So by doing these games, we can often get athletes, active and keep them active for the entire minute. Like there wasn't a period there where you guys weren't running or you weren't actively involved. What are some of the skills that we worked on in that game? Obviously the passing's a fairly obvious one, but what are some of the other things that maybe we looked at that weren't quite as obvious? Any thoughts?
Run to space.
Yep, so being able to run to space. Very good. What else? Yeah, really critical. So we're working on communication within the actual drill, and probably one other thing was, I guess, working on decision making and having a game plan. So you had to actually think about what was effective, because if you just pass the ball back and forth, you probably weren't going to tag them. So strategy starts to play a bit of a part. And without actually communicating to you guys about what you might want to do strategy-wise, we're putting a situation in place that lets you figure it out. We're creating a problem for the athletes to solve. So what were some of the strategies that might have helped us in that drill? What was one of the ones that you tried out? Yep, okay. That was when they were trying to tag you? Yeah. So watching the pass and just recognising when the ball was in the air, that was an opportunity to move. What about when you were the two people trying to tag? What were some of the strategies that we thought of? Beautiful. So one of the players might follow the player around and we try and pass them. What else could work, being that we've got two players? Perfect. So trying to trap them in a corner or use the boundaries, which is a skill that we would teach in defense. So this time, I want to move on really quickly, but just so that you get a bit more sense of how we can work as a team to try and trap an athlete, we're going to have this 4 down here, down in that end, once again within the yellow line. This 5 here, down this end within the yellow line, and Saray, I'll get you to go twice. Okay, so we'll try and tag you first, and then we'll circle through. We'll be a little bit quicker this time. We'll be 12 seconds and then we rotate. Okay? I want you guys to focus on great communication, calling for the ball, seeing if you can work as a team to trap a player in one of the corners or out along the boundary, and really quick passes. Moving the ball quickly, particularly as you move and lock them in the corner so that they can't get away from you. And to enhance that, would it make more sense if we make longer passes or shorter passes? Why short? Quicker, exactly. Ball's in the air a lot less time. Okay, so if we can really make quick little short passes, that's really going to help us. So, 5 players down this end, 4 players down this end. Work out your order really quickly. Alright, have you guys got your order worked out? If you can work that out just so we know. We'll go all in. Beautiful. Alright, ready, go! Here we go, work together. Get the communication up, try and trap them into the corner. Work together, try and trap them in the corner. That's 1, out of bounds, good job. Don't let them out of bounds. Next person. Here we go, next person. Stand up so we know. Work together, quick passes, short passes, good job. Good job. There you go, nice. Get a second tag in. Next person, hand up so we know. Here we go. Stay within the yellow boundary. Good job. Try and work him into a corner. Very good, quick passes. Good job. Keep going. Get a second tag. Next person. Quick passes. Get them into the corner. Next person. Here we go, work together, try and push them into a corner. Good job. And just taking a seat over here, great job guys. If you've got a basketball, can we just place it on the seats behind the seats? If you've got a pen and paper, feel free to grab those out now. Let's have a little bit of a chat about the warm-ups. Okay, before we move on to warm-ups, talk to me about what happened when we had more players. Easier to tag. A lot more teamwork going on, and it's a lot easier to work into a comp. So I think in an ideal situation, if you've got 5 players and you've got 4 players working together, 1 player being chased, that's probably the ideal number for that drill. If you've got too many people that are passers, that they're not actually as active. So it's really important with all that drills that we try and keep all players, all 10 players, we've got 10 that we're working with, as active as possible. Okay, so feedback on the warm-ups. Josh, what were some of the important concepts from some of the stuff that we worked on with the warm-up?
They won't do it there. You either do it online or you ring.
Yep. So getting the players warmed up to prevent injury. So we're warming them up physically. What else is important when we warm them up? So warming up physically, how else do we have to warm them up? Yeah, warm them up mentally as well. So put them in a situation that's going to challenge them on both levels. I would suggest with your warm-ups, you probably want to keep them to like really short, sharp games. So each of those games is around about a minute. Probably felt like a little bit longer, but if we can have really quick, short, sharp games and change them up, and I think the sequence that we went through today, although we sort of explained why we were doing it, that's something that you can do with your athletes probably within the first 10 minutes of training. So you can get them straight into some body movement, which is teaching the skill. You can then put them into some dribble tag, which is teaching a couple of other skills, but also reinforcing that body movement stuff, and then into the pass tag. And you're going to have players that are physically warmed up, mentally warmed up. What I'll do too is, I've got just, I guess, a basic session plan that I've written out. I'll rewrite this at the end of the session, just to, I just want to make sure, find out what we actually cover off on today, and we'll email that through so that you can potentially copy this, or we've also got a sheet that will allow you to basically write your own session plan. So you may pick all three of those things to do, you may just pick one of those things to do. Are there any questions about any of that warm-up stuff?
Do it on the phone.
The question was, do we use some of that stuff pre-game? Yes and no. It really depends on what your warm-up time is allowed. I think most club games, you're looking at probably 3 minutes for warm-up. As an example, with the under-16 state group this year, we incorporated the body movement stuff into what we were doing. We didn't really incorporate a lot of that game sense stuff. We certainly had some competitive drills, but they were probably a little more specific to what we wanted to cover within the game. Now, if you're working with under 12s, I think that's a really good option to do as a, there's no doubt that if you do that for a minute, they're going to be warmed up, ready to go. But I would also emphasize it's probably pretty important to get some shooting into your warm-up as well. So yeah, that's definitely an option. I would certainly be more focused on the shooting side of things, I think, before a game, because I just think it's so critical. We can do all the other things right, but if we aren't switched on with our shooting and we're not focused on that, it really all counts for not a lot of points. So. Any other questions? Okay, cool. We're going to move on to dribbling. If you need to take a 1 minute drink break, 1 minute toilet break, so just pause for a split second, and we'll get you guys back out on court for a minute. If you want to have a chat about that or write any notes down, probably not a bad opportunity as well. So 1 minute break and then we're back on court.
You're on 2 points with 16 seconds on the clock. Trying to call the time out.
So they were up for it.
They were up by a point. Christie took a shot. Going down by a point. Tom called the time out.
Check, check. Okay, let's grab a basketball each and jump to the baseline. We're going to take a look at dribbling. And what I would like to do is, I guess, teach it the way that I would teach it to under 8s learn to play athletes. So if we just spread out along the baseline, find your own space. So it's going to be a really slow progression, and when you're working with your athletes, you can decide whether this is the right pace for the progression or whether you give them 2 or 3 things to work with at once. We're going to focus on adding one thing to this. So to begin with, we're just going to work on dribbling the ball in a straight line. up to halfway and back. When we go up to halfway, we're going to focus on dribbling with our right hand, and when we come back, we're going to focus on dribbling with our left hand. Just to change this up, we might actually get 3 lines. So can we get a line on the yellow line, on the 3-point line here, line in the middle of the floor, we refer to this as the split line, and a line over here, and can we just go, we'll go 1 basketball per group, 1 basketball per group. This will just give us some slightly better rotations and allow us to have a little bit more rest time. So, once again, starting point is right hand dribble up to halfway, left hand dribble on the way back. If you're, when you're working with young kids and they're not really completely sure of what their right hand and left hand is, what you'll find is the ball is always on this side of your body. Okay, so closest to the far court, so it'll be right hand on the way out, on the way back, left hand. One thing to focus on, the ball can't come in higher than you wear your pants. Okay? And what I'll often say to the under 8 kids is if they're dribbling the ball above their pants, I'll ask them, what do you think I might do? And they might say, well, you'll take the ball off us or you'll make us sit out. And so what I say is that I'll sneak up behind you, grab your pants and pull them up to that height. Turn you into a Harry High pants. Once again, just giving the kids a physical image in their head of what not to do or what to do is really good. So we can say dribble the ball at waist high, but to me, for when we're dealing with under 8s, under 10s, pants height is just it gives them a really clear representation of where they have to dribble at. I'm not sure if kids would know exactly where their waist is, so pants height's a really good gauge. So right hand up, left hand back. I don't mind what speed you go, but you must dribble the ball no higher than your pants. All right, here we go. First person up. When they get back and they hand the ball to the next person, they're going to go. And we keep going until you hear the whistle blow. Here we go. No higher than your pants. Next person up, right hand up, left hand back. So a couple of us are getting caught on our right hand up, left hand back. Very good, and keep that going. Back to our group. 3, 2, 1, ball to the next person. Excellent. So now we're going to add to that. All right. What I would normally like to do with that, I probably should have done it, is we would normally have 2 balls per group. Okay, so let's do that now. Let's just grab 2 balls really quickly. Now, if there are 2 balls per group, and both people are going at the same time, what's one of the challenges that the kids are going to face? Yeah, if they stay in their line, they're going to encounter traffic. There's going to be someone in front of them. Now, I've done this with a lot of primary schools, with clinics and whatnot. I've never had anyone completely clean up anyone else, but we certainly have kids that almost run into someone, okay? Which is a good thing, because it basically teaches them that if they dribble with their eyes down and they can't see where they're going, they're going to run into people on the basketball court. So once again, we're trying to teach through learning rather than telling them. So instead of telling them to keep their eyes up, we want them to learn that as they go. But now we're going to focus on 2 things. We're going to add to no higher than the pants. Okay, we're going to make sure that now you must keep your eyes up. And when you dribble the ball and your eyes are looking forward, okay, looking forward is probably a better terminology than looking out, because sometimes kids take things really literally. So looking forward, you're going to see where you're going, but out of the bottom of your eye, you're also going to be able to see the bottom of the ball. So there will be a little bit of vision on the ball, but it's really important that you have your eyes up and you see where you're going. Okay, so now, no higher than your pants, eyes up as you dribble, right hand up, left hand back. Any questions? All right, here we go. When the first group gets to halfway, second group start. Here we go. Second group are going now. Eyes up. If there's someone in front of you, make sure you change direction to get around them. If there's someone in front of you, keep those eyes up, work to get around them. Good job. Eyes up, don't run into anyone. Good job. Keeping your eyes up. Eyes up. Nice. Back to good. 3, 2, 1. Excellent. Now, really simple for you guys, and once again, if you're coaching under 16s, maybe you give them 2 things at the start to focus on rather than going one at a time. We're going to focus on adding one more thing to this now, okay? When we dribble the ball, do you think it's better to use your palm or your fingertips? What do you guys think? Fingertips. Why the fingertips? Yeah, exactly. It gives us a lot better control of the ball. So if I borrow the ball, so if I use my palm, I tend to slap at the ball. And I don't have a lot of control. The ball tends to control me. Okay? Whereas if I have strong fingers, and that's a really important phrase, strong fingers, I've now got 5 points of contact with the ball that are pushing me into the ground really hard. Okay? What I focus on with young kids is I suggest for them to hold an apple. Okay, so imagine you're holding an apple and that's the way that they want to hold their fingers when they shoot the ball. So once again, it's giving them a visual aid to try and assist rather than use your fingers or use your finger pads. Might be a little bit confusing. So we're trying to use imagery to get that response. So last time through with this, we're going to go right hand up, left hand back. What's the first thing that we're focused on? No, that was the second one. What was the first one? Yep, no higher than our pants. So no higher than our pants, eyes looking forward, strong fingers as we dribble. Here we go. First person ready, go! Second person ready, go! Right hand on the way up, left hand on the way back. And 3, 2, 1, outstanding. Alright, quick challenge for you now. How many dribbles do you think it'll take to get from here all the way up to half court? 10? What are your thoughts? 4? Yep, we're going to go for 4 or less. Okay, so the challenge is now, when you're counting the dribbles, we're aiming for 4 or less. In order to do that, what's going to be important when you dribble the ball? Yep. When we say, where are we going to push the ball? You've got to push the ball out in front of us, okay? So it's about pushing it out in front and running onto it. If you push it at your feet, you're going to run past the ball. We're not going to have great control of it. So pushing it forward, making sure we can control the drill. 4 dribbles or less. So can I just borrow the ball for a second? So working on pushing it out in front. Still no hurry, high pants. Still eyes forward, still strong fingers. 4 dribbles up to halfway, switch around on the way back, same thing on the way back. Keeping our eyes up, ready, go! Good job, mate. Push it out in front. Second person go, here we go. Pushing that ball out in front. No higher than our pants. Great job. Yeah, keep going, keep going. 3, 2, 1, and holding fast, pause. Did anyone get 4 dribbles? Hands up, 4 or less. Anyone get 3 dribbles? Very good. Okay. What happened on that 4th time through that drill compared to the other 3 times? Got messy, maybe? I thought it was pretty good. I thought it was pretty good. A couple of people dribbling a little bit too high. Did you feel like you were going quicker that 4th time? Okay, so I think one of the things you want to do is challenge your athletes in ways that sort of tricks them, for want of a better word, into working harder. You know, like we hear it all the time. Come on guys, you've got to work harder, you've got to go quicker. But if you can find ways to, intelligently challenge them in a way that they are trying to achieve a target, you'll actually find that you'll get the same result. So I think that's a much better way of doing it. Progressions from this, we could go into relays, and that's normally what I would do, although I would actually make them individual races. Yeah, we'll skip on that today, but that would be the next thing. And so the way that I would do that, just for your own reference, is if I was having individual races, we'd dribble not to halfway now, all the way down the other end of the court. We'd shoot a layup at the basket. If your first shot went in, you would come back straight away. If your first shot missed, you would have a second shot. No matter what happened after the second shot, then you would come back. So that would be the way that I would do it. And I think particularly if you've got, say, 30 or 40 kids that you have to manage, which most of you probably won't be in that situation, but if you've got 2 teams that you've got to manage, that sort of stuff can be really good because, it's basically getting all the kids involved, it's competitive, and then you have finals at the end of it. Okay, I want to do another game sense game, okay, in regards to dribbling. And actually, just before I move on to that, can anyone give me the 4 things that we focused on there with the teaching points with dribbling? Set.
I thought about doing that.
No higher than your waist, yep.
The biggest problem
Head up. Strong fingers, yep. And the 4th one, we didn't specifically say it, but what was the teaching point
So
with
unless
that?
you've got a game or something going on,
Beautiful, push the ball out in front, okay? And so what I find, as I said, I've done a lot of school clinics where I'll work with 30 kids and I'll come back a week later and ask them the teaching points of dribbling, and a lot of them can remember specifically those teaching points. And I think it's partly because of the progression. Whereas if I had to say, all right, we're going to do a dribbling drill, guys. I want you to focus on dribbling no higher than your waist, keeping your eyes up, fingertip control, pushing the ball out in front. I'd say the retention rate would be close to 0. So it's partly because of the way that it's presented with the progression, and it's partly because of the imagery that's used as well. It sort of creates a picture in their mind which makes it easy to remember. Okay. Want to do a slightly different drill now. So everyone that's got a basketball, can you come and find a space just inside the keyway here? We're just going to work inside the blue paint. Okay, people without a basketball, you want to jump up the top and form a line behind me.
60% or whatever, drop frames. You're seeing that on Wednesday night.
Alright, so one line just behind me. This game's called Dribble Tag. Okay? Sorry, my apologies. This game is called Dribble Knockout. The way this is going to work is you must stay within the blue area. Okay? Your feet are allowed to leave the area, but your ball is not. So can you throw your ball, John? So if you're dribbling and the ball comes outside the area, okay, you're out. And we'll talk about what happens with that in a second. Now, to make this a little more challenging, your objective is to keep your ball in, but also to knock other people's balls out. So as you dribble, you're going to use your free hand to knock their basketball out. If your ball gets knocked out, here's the way we're going to work this. And one of the problems I think with certain knockout games that we play is if we gave everyone a ball, this is the way a lot of people will play it, they give everyone a ball and they say, once your ball's knocked out, you're out of the game and you'll sit out. What's the issue with that? Yeah, the player that probably needs to practice the most is the one that gets the least amount of practice at it. So I think, playing your knockout games in a way that we actually rotate players through is a really great way of doing it. So if your ball gets knocked out, you're going to run, chase after your ball, you're going to walk up or run up to the next person in line, hand the ball. As soon as you've got a ball, Josh, you're in the drill. I jump to the back of the line. Okay? The quicker you get your ball, the more likely you are to get back into the drill. Okay? You get a point every time your basketball is knocked out. You get a point every time you knock someone else's basketball out. If your basketball gets knocked out, you don't lose any points. You stay on what you are. So there's a real incentive here, to try and go after other people and not play safe. We want you to try and make it as difficult for the other people as possible. Any questions with this? Okay. You must keep dribbling the entire time, so you can't pick your ball up. One hand's dribble. You want to use your hand to knock the ball out rather than using your body to try and bump people out. Okay, so we're working on using our hands instead of the ball. All right, ready? Go! Once your ball gets knocked out, hand it to the next person's line, jump back in. And hold it there. Alright. Hands up if you haven't been knocked out yet. Hands up if you haven't been knocked out yet. Okay. You guys are each worth 2 points. Okay. Actually, let's make it you guys are worth 3 points. Alright. So if you knock any one of these players' basketballs out, then feel free to gang up on them. Their basketball is worth 3 times as much as anyone else's. Ready, go! Good job, 3 points there. And hold up. You guys haven't been knocked out. You're now worth 5 points. Okay, 5 points, 5 points, 3 points, 3 points. Here we go. Go! And stop, just inside. Let's get everyone on the baseline again. You good? Yep. No problems. All right. Score check. Did anyone score 1 or more? Hands up. Anyone score 3 or more? Hands up. No, this is basketballs that you knocked out. So not how you getting knocked out has no impact on the score. 10 or more. What were you? 6, 4. Winner. Good job. Push-ups was not kidding. Yeah. So talk to me about that game in particular. When you were trying to protect your basketball, what were some of the things that you did to protect it? Sarah, you were pretty hard to get knocked out. What were some of the things that you did? What's that, sorry? Switched hands, beautiful. So the players were going for the ball, switching hands, using crossover dribbles between the legs, behind the back to protect the ball. Any other strategies that anyone used? Yeah, using your body to protect the ball. Okay, so in a close environment where you're being guarded tightly, maybe turning your back and protecting the ball is going to make it a lot more challenging for the other person to knock the ball out. What else? Were there any other strategies? Do you think it made it harder for them to knock it out if you dribbled it high or low? Harder to knock it out if you were dribbling it low? Absolutely. Okay, because the ball is in the air less time before it gets back to your hand. Okay, so once again, through this drill, we're basically trying to help players learn without overly instructing them. We want them to give us the answers rather than us to give them the answers. So the solution, the way we do that is we provide a problem that they need to solve. Make sense? Yep, cool. What else did I do within the drill to make sure that everyone was challenged equally? Yeah, gave incentives. So if you've got an athlete that's a little bit stronger, you know, you can make them worth more points. You know, and particularly if there's one particular athlete and everyone's ganging up on that athlete, that's going to make it more challenging for them. It's going to, you know, lift their skill. What are some other things that you could maybe do, you know, if you had a really strong player? Yeah, great. Make them use one hand only. Maybe make them use their weak hand. What else? Any other thoughts? I'd have them potentially dribbling with 2 balls, so they have to look after 2 balls, and that way they have to use their feet to knock other people's basketballs out. And if either of their basketballs gets knocked out, then they're out. So just being able to think on the run a little bit about ways that you can challenge the athletes is really important. All right, really quick drink break, time to write some notes. We're going to move on to shooting layups, which I think is really critical for us to teach, and we'll finish up with some defense. We'll finish up with some passing and then some defense if we've got time. Okay, quick drink break and we'll be back on court. Okay, jumping back on court. Let's grab a basketball each. I actually want to just play one more dribbling game before we move on to the layup. So basketball each, and we're going to jump on the baseline, but you're going to be in between the corner here and the chair. So we're going to just shorten the width of the court for a second. slide, I think we can play the forward slide. Alright, Ali, you won't need a basketball. You are going to be our demonstrator for this first drill. So just jump out on the court, just for the fellow. You won't need one, mate, that's right. Okay, this game is called Octopus. Okay, this is a game that I played when I was primary school PE, and I've sort of, I guess, changed the way it's run a little bit to make it a little bit more basketball specific. So, you guys are the octopus. Ali is the shark. Okay? Sharks chase octopuses. So, here's the way it works. We're going to dribble the ball, whichever hand you want, whatever speed, from here all the way up to half court. Your objective is to not be tagged. So we want you to change your direction, change your speed. Your job is just to run after as many people as you can and tag them. If Ali tags you before you make it over to half court, you're going to become a baby shark. And this is what you're going to do. Come very well. You're going to place the ball between your feet or between your legs, knee high. Okay? Actually, for you guys, I might get you to place it just at your ankles. With the younger kids, I would get them to do it knee high because it just helps them move a little bit. So you can help Ali tag the rest of the octopus, and you can move, but you have to move in a predetermined way. With the ball between your feet, you're making small jumps. If the ball comes loose as you go to tag someone, the tag doesn't count. Okay? So we're playing within the limits of the ocean, sideline to sideline. Okay? Halfway to baseline. Alright, we'll see how Ali goes with this. If she's too quick and she tags everyone in one go, we might put some challenges on her. But yeah, if you're tagged, you go to the same spot you were tagged, basketball goes between your feet, and then you can tag other people. Any questions with the drill? Alright. You got any questions, Ali, or are you good to go? Ready? Go! Good job. Alright, ready, go! Great job, octopus. Ready, go! Okay, and we'll go back to putting it up at our knee height. It should give you a little bit more ability to move. Alright, ready, go! Come on, Ali, you gotta get these people. Good job, there's a tag, there's a tag. Alright, here we go, working together now, guys. Ready, go. Find the gaps, octopus. Find the gaps, where's the space? Tag! Alright, hold up. Jump up for a second, Ali. Alright, we're gonna leave it up to the baby sharks now to see if they can work together to get to the rail. So, we're gonna get one go at this. One go to make it through. If that happens, you're the grand champion. Ready, go! Good job, good job. Tag, not too bad, jump to the baseline. Really good. And once again, I think it's important for you guys just to think, you know, what are some of the skills that we're teaching through that drill? Now, we've spoken about keeping our eyes up when we dribble. You know, what else made it effective for you to get through the gaps? What were some of the things that you guys were considering doing? Yeah, certainly teamwork from a defensive perspective and trying to tag people. What else? Yeah, change of direction, really important. Okay, recognizing where the spaces were, but also timing. Because if you go like a bat out of hell right from the start, maybe you won't get through the gaps. But if you pick your moments when to go, you know, the gaps will often open up. So, you know, one thing I really want to come back to emphasising when we play a game, there's usually 3 or 4 different things that we're teaching during that game. You don't necessarily need to explain that to the kids. In fact, what I would encourage you to do is do exactly what I did. You know, ask the question, what was it that we worked on during that game? Or what were you thinking about that made it harder for people to tag you? Putting that emphasis back on the kids, I think, really helps with their learning. Okay, we're going to work on layups. I think layups are one of the most critical things that you can teach the athletes. Getting the footwork correct, teaching them where to aim for on the backboard. You know, if we can do that, we can get kids to be sort of 90-95% shooters, you know, right from the age of under 8. And as I mentioned before, you can be great at every other aspect of basketball, But if we can't finish our shots, we're not going to win games. And whilst there shouldn't be an overemphasis on winning, I think it's a really critical part. So it's one of the main reasons that people do sport, because of the competitive nature of it. So to increase our opportunities of winning, if we can improve our shooting, we're going to be much better. The advantage of a layup is that you can take 2 steps before you shoot that will allow you to slow down just before you shoot. So it'll increase your balance and help you be more effective when you go for the shot. We're going to get one line just out here, just one second. I'll just grab a chair so we know where to stand. And just on that, I think, if you've got access to cones or witch's hats or something like that, really, really, really valuable teaching aid. For us right now, we're going to use a chair, and we're going to have one line here going back. So you can jump up front of the line. So we have one line facing the ring behind Saray. Everyone jumping up behind Saray. Teaching points for the layup. I'm going to give you guys 3 teaching points that I want you to try and remember. First one is, if we're on the right-hand side of the court, we're going to take 2 steps, and it's going to be right, left, up. And it can even help sometimes to get your rhythm if you say that in your head. Right, left, up. So on the right-hand side of the court, we're stepping with our right foot first. Another way of looking at it, once again, if athletes are confused with right side or left side, you can say outside, inside, up. Both things mean the same. I've found that right, left, up is generally a better way of doing it. When you shoot the ball, I want you to emphasize on driving your right knee up to the ring. The reason we lift our knee up is if we're moving along at horizontal speed, by bringing our knee up towards the ring, that will now turn that into vertical speed. Okay, so it's 2 steps, knee comes up to the ring, and then we're going to shoot it. Third teaching point, we want to shoot the ball off the $1 million spot. The $1 million spot is, we've got the big square around the outside of the backboard, the little square on the inside of the backboard, top right-hand corner of the little square. Now, if you hit the $1 million spot, you're not going to miss. Okay, and particularly if we shoot it in a way that the ball hits the $1 million spot and then comes down, rather than hitting it and continuing up, you're going to hit, as I said, 95, 100% of your shots. So, 3 teaching points. What were they, Sarah? Yeah, now, it wasn't so much use the right hand, although that's definitely one of the things we want to focus on. What was the teaching point? Yep, so right, left, up, yep. Driving the knee up, yep. Hitting the $1 million spot, beautiful. We're going to go first player. We're going to circle through this first player to make 3 shots. So as soon as Saray has gone, Rod, you're jumping up, you're ready to go. Okay? There's some extra teaching points to this, but let's sort of start with that as a starting point, get those 3 down, and then we can add some more to it. Okay, here we go. No my apologies, one other thing, no dribble at this stage, okay? So we'll start with both feet together, okay? Right, left, up, and hitting a shot. And I've just realised one of the things that I'm probably not doing today that I would normally do, I would do a lot more demonstration, but because I'm holding a microphone, it's sort of awkward to do. Now, if you're comfortable with your demonstrations, I think you need to incorporate that into every single drill. So I would explain the drill, I would demonstrate the drill, and as we say, a picture sometimes, holds 1,000 words. If athletes see it correctly, that's, they're going to be able to replicate it. If you're not comfortable with demonstrating yourself, have one of your athletes like Saray demonstrate it. So we're going to get you to demonstrate this, Saray. 2 steps, knee up into your shot, right hand shot. Here we go. Beautiful. Okay. Out of 5, how close were you to the $1 million spot when you shot the ball? Maybe a 3. Yeah, cool. So we're going to want to get that up to a 5. I want you to hit that $1 million spot nice and soft. Great, mate. But let's really emphasise getting those 3 teaching points. All right, so we're circling through this now. First person to 3 made baskets. Here we go. Right, left, up. $1 million spot. Beautiful. Here we go. Good job. Bad luck. Good. Keep it moving a little quicker now. Right, left, up. Knee up on the shot. $1 million spot. Good. Right, left, up. Knee up. $1 million spot. Beautiful. Beautiful. 3. Alright, hold it there. So we're going to add some things to this. So once again, keep in mind that I'm trying to structure this sort of from anywhere from under 8s through to under 16s. We want you guys to be a little bit more athletic now. Okay? Some people look a little bit like the Tin Man from The Wizard of Oz. Very straight-legged, very rigid, okay, as they shoot. So the first thing we're looking at is we want to be down in stance, knees bent, okay? Most of basketball or everything in basketball operates from being in a good stance to start with. And what we're looking for, I want you guys to be athletes, okay? You want to be dynamic in the movements. We want to get some bounce. So we're going to step you back a little bit now, okay? And we're going to focus on taking big steps. Instead of emphasizing right step, what I want you to do now is jump more. So it's going to be right, left, and then we're going to hang in the air a little bit as we try and get up as high as we can. Second teaching point is we want to keep the ball up on our right shoulder when we shoot the ball. Okay, so I'm noticing that a lot of players, when we step, on the first step, the ball will swing to the left-hand side of our body. Okay, so it's 1, 2 on the shot. Okay, and what that does is it basically shows the ball to the defense. So right now, same 3 teaching points as before, right, left up, knee up, hit the $1 million spot, but we're going to add 2 more. I want you to be athletic, jump into your spot, kick the ball up on your right shoulder as you shoot. Get to the shot, okay? 2 big steps, get into the ring. First person to 3, here we go. Jump into it. Big athletic steps, starting stance, beautiful, $1 million spot, bad luck. Starting stance, kick that ball up on the right shoulder. Kick the ball up on the right shoulder. And freeze. Haven't seen anyone be able to kick the ball up on the right shoulder yet. So it's a big challenge for us. Really critical that we can get that. So now you've got to keep those teaching points, but you've got to get the ball up on the right shoulder on the steps. Here we go. Beautiful. Good job. Nice big athletic steps. No Tin Man here. $1 million spot. Nice. Get it up. Hit that $1 million spot. Top corner of the small square. Good job. Have a look at the footwork. Right, left on the footwork. Referee didn't see that. We're going to 3 and hold it there. I think we're pretty close to getting the 3. Nice shot. All right. What do we need to add to this? Add the dribble. Okay, so the progression is we're starting 2 steps, no dribble. We're adding some teaching points as we go. We add a few more teaching points, and now we're adding extra. Okay, so that level of progression is there. All right, so now what I want us to do is we're going to focus on being feet on the yellow line. If you want to challenge yourself a bit more, feel free to go back further, but we'll start basically toes on the yellow line at the very least. In order to step right foot, left foot, and shoot, what foot would I need to step with first? Right now, if I'm going to dribble the ball. Yeah, so it's going to be, pardon me, left foot step, right hand dribble. And what you'll notice is that it's going to be opposites. So opposite hand to opposite foot. We sometimes refer to that as a crossover step. In this situation, we're just going straight to the basket. Now the teaching point that I'm looking for here is ball and foot will hit the ground at the same time. Okay, so if I dribble the ball, I want to make sure that as my foot comes down, ball comes down, and they should hit the ground at the exact same time. From there, it's just a matter of continuing what we did. So right hand dribble, left foot step, ball and foot same time, right, left, knee up, hit the $1 million spot, just like that. All right. First person to get 3 baskets. Okay? All right. Ready? Go. Good job. Kick that ball up on the high shoulder. Knee up, $1 million spot. Beautiful. $1 million spot, knee up. Nice job. Big long steps. I want you guys to be athletes. Good. Ball and foot at the same time. Perfect. Just slightly bigger steps. Ball. Come back. Okay. Now some of you are pretty comfortable doing layups. Just come back, Seb. And then you can go again. Some of you are pretty comfortable. So we're not paying attention to the details. Okay. So I really want you to emphasize ball and foot at the same time. We're just going 3 steps, which for me is going to see if you guys can take really big steps. I would like to see on your second step, so as your right foot comes forward, that you're reaching the block. So this first step, I want you to take a really big step, push the ball out in front. See if you can get your right foot on the block on your second step. So it'll look like this. Ball and foot at the same time, right foot, left foot, and now we're shooting the ball from inside the keyway. Okay? Hold up, Seth, come back. I want you to start back a bit further. Let's start you back here. Okay, so I'm going to challenge you a little bit further. Okay, big long steps. Here we go, push off. 3 steps. Not too bad. I think we might have got extra steps there, but that's perfect. That was a great layup. Here we go. Next person up, we're going to start on the yellow line. Okay, 3 steps. Left foot, right, left. Good job. Big steps. So you can get some spring out of this, Soraya. Nice job. There you go. Nice. Beautiful. And hold it there. So jumping down here, let's get 1 line on the lane line here. 1 line out on the lane line on the opposite side of the court. Now the group on this side will need basketballs, the group on this side will not need basketballs. So, we've practiced the skill, what do we now need to do? You've got to put it in a game situation. Okay, and I think this is something that we probably don't do enough of. We focus on skills, drills, but you want to put it into a competitive situation. So what's going to happen, you're going to throw the ball out to me, okay? I'm going to say go, and as I say go, I'm going to spin the ball somewhere out in front of you. I want you to see if you can take 1, 2 dribbles at the most, okay? Finish with a layup going to the ring, okay? Your job is to play defense, but before you can play defense there, you've got to run around the chair and then chase and challenge the shot. Yep? Okay, any questions with that? Now, we're looking for you to block the shot if possible, but you've got to be able to do it without fouling, okay? What I want you to really focus on is eyes up on the $1 million spot, okay? If she blocks your shot, it's not so much a bad play by you, it's a great play by her. And I think that's something we want to get athletes to recognise, because more often than not, we miss more shots because we're worried about the person blocking us than what we would have missed had we gone blocked. Okay? If there's contact, so be it. You need to be able to play through it. I don't want you looking to the referee to bail you out. I want you to actually make the shot, and if the referee blows the whistle and you get a 3-point play, that's perfect. Okay? But otherwise, contact is not an excuse to miss shots. Alright, so ball to me, I'll spin it out, I'll say go. Waiting on the baseline, let's get a demonstration, here we go. Go! Nice block, bad luck. I mean, and once again, that's a great play by the defense, not by the offense. Next person up, let's switch lines. Here we go. Alright, wait for it. Go! $1 million spot, not too bad. Next ball up. We'll just have 2 balls in the drill. Alright, go! Be creative, find a way to get a score. Nice job. You've got to get those eyes up on the $1 million spot a little bit quicker. Wait for it. Go! Eyes up. Good job. Next person up. Here we go. First person to score 2. Actually, here's what we're going to do. You get a point if you score the layup. You get a point if you prevent the opposition from scoring a layup. Okay, so if you get a stop, you get 1 point. If you get a score, you get 1 point. We're going to go first player to 4 points. First player to 4 points. Ready, go! Good job. Here we go. Alright, wait for it. Ready, go! 1 dribble, right, left, into our lap. Nice block. Here we go. Next group up. Ready, go! Eyes on the $1 million spot. Bad luck. 1 shot over. Here we go. Ready, go! Eyes on the $1 million spot. Next one up. Ready, go! 1 dribble. Eyes on the $1 million spot. Nice effort. Ready, go! Good job. Here we go. Ready, go! Is that 4th round? 3. Alright, here we go. Keep it going. Ready, go! Eyes up. It's $1 million spot. Top corner of the small square. Bad luck. Here we go. Ready, go! Good job. Ready, go! Challenge the shot. Nice job. Ready, go! Nice job. Ready, go! 4? I think that's 4. Okay, great job. All right, take a quick seat. Take a quick seat.
There you go. Not half hour. Yeah, it's only 10:30 now.
What did we notice about the footwork when we added defense? Anyone notice anything particular? Yeah, footwork we forgot about. You know, sometimes we stepped left, right on the shot. You know, and that's going to happen. So, but the advantage is at least we can sort of see that. You know, and ultimately, I think as you're beginning your coaching, you want to teach the correct footwork. But in a game, you know, like if they get the incorrect footwork and they make the basket, well, you know, that's a progression for us. So probably the biggest teaching point through that drill was getting the eyes up early, focusing on hitting the $1 million spot. And then as you progress with your teaching, you know, you'll basically get to a point where, you know, each week you're going to get that little bit more comfortable with the layup footwork. I think that's also another skill that they should be practicing at home in their own time. You know, if you've got athletes that are very diligent. What did we not teach there that we probably should have? Yeah, well, defense for sure. We'll get to defense. In terms of the layups. So we focused on one side of the court. Really critical to get both sides of the court. And I think with some of the athletes that you guys are dealing with, they're going to be, you know, they're going to be pretty good on their right-hand side. Like I already noticed that regardless of what foot people step with here, they were able to balance their footwork and step right, left into a layup. They may not be quite as confident or confident on their left side of their body. So it's really critical that we do that both sides of the floor. Just for time constraints at the moment, we'll skip that, but the process would be the same on the left-hand side of the floor. Okay, so if we're going left-hand side of the floor, Helen, correct? Helen, yep. If we're going left-hand side of the floor, what foot work would the athletes have? It'd actually be the other way around, yeah. And we'll talk about the reason why in a second. So it'd be left, right, up into the shot. Okay, they'd obviously be focusing on the $1 million spot, which would be the top corner of the left-hand side of the backboard. Okay? No, we're limited with the time that we've got, so we won't go into too much detail with the shooting, but we will talk about it very briefly. Generally teach one hand underneath the ball. And you know, the emphasis that I have is keeping everything in line. So if I have my right arm is in line with my leg and my toe. If I had a spear and I put it through the top of the ball, it would go hand, elbow, knee, toe. You'll notice that my arm is bent at a 90-degree angle with a slight raise on the angle here. What we're working at the AAS is lifting the elbow to the height of eye level. I think when you're dealing with young kids, you want to work on around about a 10-degree angle. They're probably not going to understand that terminology, but so just keeping the elbow slightly lifted. And the reason we work on right-hand shot and a left-hand shot, we find it's more accurate when you have one hand underneath the ball, because it's basically, if everything's in a straight line and the follow-through is in a straight line, the ball's going to go straight. But the other reason is, sorry, if you just want to jump up, and let's get you to jump to the left-hand side of the court. So once again, if we were shooting the ball on the left-hand side, in close, on a layup, the shot would happen with the left hand. So if Soraya comes in, just walk this through, let's go right, left footwork, okay? So if Soraya was going to come in and do a right-hand layup, what she's essentially doing is showing the ball to the defense, okay? Whereas if she can go back and go left, right, and keep the ball up on her left shoulder, she essentially protects the ball. So left, right, now she's got the ball protected, and if I get a piece of the ball, there's a good chance I'm going to get some of her body or her arm. Okay, so really critical that we're teaching left-hand footwork on the left side, right-hand footwork on the right side. And the concept of dribbling the ball is exactly the same, just opposite. So, teaching points. Who can give me, I think we covered 5 teaching points with the layup. Who thinks they got all 5? Anyone going? Ali, all 5, here we go. Right, left, up, particularly on the right-hand side, yep. Something we do with our leg on the shot. Knee up, okay, so we drive our knee up towards the basket, yep. $1 million spot. Then we worked on adding 2 extras. Yeah, longer athletic steps, staying down in stance. And actually that was the next one up, so there was one other thing. Where do we put the ball when we step? Up on our shoulder. Beautiful. And when we had the dribble, John, what was the 2 teaching points for the dribble? Yeah, I'd say that was, there's 2 more to add to that, so that's a good one, but 2 more to add to that. Yeah, perfect. So opposites, right hand, left foot, or vice versa, yep. Timing, what was the time of the ball hitting the ground? Same time as your foot hits the ground, okay? So once again, you know, I think it's really good with your athletes, once you do the drill, just to go over whether it be the end of the training or the end of the drill, okay? Let me just have a look at our time and see how we're going. So if you want to just take a minute to write down any notes, feel free to. Any questions just while we're going as well about any of that or I guess anything else? Yeah, gotcha. Yep. Yep. So defensively. Yep. Yep. Gotcha. We've got about 25 minutes left. So what we'll do is we'll do a little bit of passing, and it's going to be just basically showing you a drill that I would use to teach passing, layups, and teach that progression. Then we're going to focus for about 15 minutes on defense at the end. Yeah, gotcha. I mean, you know, and that's, I guess as a coach, that's just one of the things you have to deal with. We're dealing with personalities, we're dealing with education, and you obviously hope the referees are involved in that education process as well, which generally they are. So, yeah, when you're dealing with, you know, I guess, players that are physical or that come from another sporting background, it does take a little bit of time to educate them. But there's some philosophies that we'll bring in when we teach the individual defence that will help with that. Actually, let's get, so we'll get those, well, no, what have we got now? We've got smaller numbers, 2, 4, 6, 7. Let's go group of 2, group of 2, group of 3. Okay? Jump up, grab a ball between 2. For the groups of 2, can I get one partner with the ball on the baseline, the other partner foul line extended. So if you imagine the foul line has an extended line out here, we're going to be spread out along that. The group of 3 down this end, I want you guys in a triangle around about 3 meters apart. And let's get a second ball in here for you guys, okay? Just want to grab one from the rack over there. Okay, so we're going to really briefly talk about passing technique, okay? First pass we're going to work on is the chest pass. Teaching points for a chest pass are, we start with our thumbs pointing up at the start of the pass, and we end with our thumbs pointing down. So it'll look a little bit like this. Okay, so thumbs are up, we're holding onto the ball, we've got our elbows just sort of sitting comfortably to the sides. As we pass, we push our thumbs through the ball so they point down. The reason we do that is it creates backspin on the ball. And backspin helps the ball travel smooth without dipping at the end, and it also makes it easy to catch because it hits the person's hand as they catch. We're going to get you to step forward. So starting point will be down in stance, feet shoulder width apart, ready to be able to move in any direction. As we step and pass, thumbs start up. At the end of the pass, and you'll notice that I'll have a follow through at the end of my pass. I want my follow through to point directly to where I'm looking to pass to. Okay? As I'm about to receive the ball, really critical, and particularly when you're working with young athletes, so we talk about, you know, how they are when they receive the ball. So if I'm receiving it, I'm down in stance and I'm showing 10 fingers. Okay, I've got my hands up, ready to catch the ball, and I just watch the ball into my hand. If someone's not showing us 10 fingers, we don't pass them the ball. Okay, it's really important that we teach people to be receivers as well as passers. Alright, so at this stage we're just passing back and forth, working on that. The group of 3, you guys are working in a triangle where the first pass will go and then you've got to be ready to receive the ball. If we're passing to our right, we're going to step with our right foot. For you guys, I might get you to alternate the foot that you step forward. So the first time you step forward with your right foot, second time you step forward with your left foot. Okay? Any questions with that? Alright, ready, go. Backspin on the ball, point your fingers at the person you're passing to. So hold your follow through, thumbs will start pointing up, thumbs will finish pointing down. Really good. New ball, guys. Let me just chuck one of those balls over here. Yep, and grab another one off the rack. Beautiful. And through. Alright, we're now looking at making a bounce pass. Okay? When we make a bounce pass, the point of emphasis will be passing the ball just over halfway. Alright? Technically, we probably want to pass it 2/3 of the way, but I think when you're dealing with young athletes, better off just keeping it really simple. So if you pick the halfway point and pass just over the front, over the halfway, we're going to have the ball bounce up and hopefully reach them round about their stomach chest area. Okay, where will the follow through point now on the pass? At the ground. So it's still thumbs start up, thumbs finish down, but we focus on making sure that the ball goes just over halfway. Alright, here we go. 20 seconds on that. This time you guys are passing to your left, you're working on your left foot. Here we go. Hold the follow through at the end of the pass, fingers pointing to the ground, thumbs start up, thumbs will finish down. And three. Okay, can you guys get into a group of two so someone will just have to rotate in? Ball each now. Organised, you just jump on the baseline, Ali, you just jump up here. One of the balls is going to be a bounce pass ball. One of the balls is going to be a chest pass ball. So you guys need to work that out. So it's not one of the person, it's one of the basketballs. So if this is the bounce pass ball, okay, every time you hold that ball, you're going to make a bounce pass. Every time you hold that ball, you're going to make a chest pass. Okay, let's bring you guys in just a little bit closer. So I want this to get a little bit quicker now. Alright, you guys got that worked out? Yep. Ready, go! Good job, keep it moving quicker. Move the ball, good technique. Good technique, move the ball. Good follow through on the passes. One of the balls is a bounce pass, one's a chest pass. So you'll alternate each time. Yep, perfect. And hold basketballs. Good job. Okay. We're going to teach a right hand push pass. How we go? Easy? We're going to teach a right hand push pass now. Now we can teach this using one basketball each, but I want to challenge you guys to do it more, so we're going to keep a basketball each. Right hand push pass is where you will step to the side of the player and you'll make a pass from your hip. So if I'm down in stance, I move the ball to my hip, I step with my right foot out to the side and shift my weight. And then I make a push pass with one hand. My follow through will be sort of sideways and I will point that hand at the person that I'm passing to. So it will look like this. It's a push from the hip rather than a foot pass. It will look like this if I pass to Sarah. Down in stance, step to the side, pretty good. So the key with this is elbow starts behind the ball and pass my right. Okay? Let's go one ball for about 10 seconds. Have a bit of practice at it. I'll call right hand, then I'll call left hand. Left hand push pass to the side. I step to the side, I push my left hand up on my follow through. Okay? Very good. You guys can do the three. Okay? When I go, so we're going to go right hand, left hand, then we're going to go two balls. So we go right hand push pass. Yeah, grab two balls with this one out. Good job. Pushing with one hand, stepping in stance. Now we're into left hand push pass. Left hand will be left hand, left foot. Left hand, left foot. Shift the ball to your left hip. Beautiful. That's nice. And hold it. Let's get two basketballs now. So you guys can have three basketballs. Here we go. Alright. So we're going to go right hand or left hand. I'll call them out. So make sure you're listening to the cues. Otherwise you're going to have both balls going in the same direction. Here we go. Right hand. Straight push passes now. Yeah, keep going. Sorry, so my apologies. So just keep it going, working together, and I'll call the change up as we go. Beautiful. Ready to receive the next ball. Left hand. Step in with your left foot. Right hand. And three. Good job. Okay. Really quickly, just, actually we won't take a seat on this, let's just get everyone on the baseline. Just get everyone jump on the baseline. So depending on the level that your athletes are at, I think you can vary the way you challenge them in different ways. What was the tendency with the quality of the technique as we added more challenges to it? What happened to the quality of the technique? Went down, and that's a trade-off. So, the more that you incorporate decision-making thinking, probably the quality of the technique goes down. So I think when that happens, you really want to coach on the run. You want to be constantly communicating, hold your follow through, stay in stance. You want to be just giving them those really key cues. And if you can get your cues down to 2 or 3 words, like hold your follow through, as opposed to make sure you leave your hand up at the end of the pass, the athletes will be able to take that on board. And if you keep your cues, your teaching cues consistent as well, that'll really help as well. But I think it's critical that we put that thinking stuff in, because that's the game of basketball. We can teach them to be absolutely technically perfect when it's 1-on-0, but as soon as you add defense to it, you start to challenge. Progression from that, we could potentially put you guys in groups of 3 and have one player be the defender. I think it used to be referred to picky in the middle. I don't think we're allowed to call it that anymore. It's apparently not politically correct. So basically a 2-on-1 passing drill where there's a person in the middle that's a defender trying to get a deflection, and that way we're using fakes and push passes, stepping to the side to be able to try and create a clear passing lane. That would be a really good way of, progressing that into a competitive situation. Here's what we're going to do though. We're going to bring it up here and we'll get 1, 2, 3 basketballs. The other 4 can jump on the rack there. Alright, we'll just do this from half court. Generally we can do this drill full court, where we'd start a group on the lane line, group on the elbow, and 1 line under the basket as defense. But if you guys can start here, so I just want a nice straight line here. You can jump up first, Rod. Let's get 2 people over here, just ready to go. And we'll get 2 people just at the back of the circle. I'll just get you a chair. Alright, we call this drill 2-man chaser. So we've got 2 players working together to try and create a layup. We've got 1 defender working to try and chase them and get a piece of the ball. Okay, so we've gone from stationary passing, which is a really simple skill, to now looking at being able to pass on the move. Okay, so talk to me, what are some of the things that are important when you're passing to someone on the move? Pass in front. Essentially pass where they're going rather than where they're currently at. To help us with that, when you're running to receive the ball, we're going to get you to run with a target hand. So if you're running down the court here, it'll be a left-hand target hand ready to receive the ball. You'll be running with a right-hand target hand to receive the ball on that side. Okay? The 2 people with the ball are passing back and forth, rapid fire, as quick as you can, until you get inside the keyway. Once you're inside the keyway, you can either choose to make 1 more pass, or you can take 1 dribble and finish with a layup. So you can finish with a right-hand layup or a left-hand layup. Okay, really simple drill. Thank you very much. If you want to just come out a little wider, Alex, so bring that line out a little wider, just to where the chair is. And if you do the same here, so we're a little bit longer with our passes. To make this a bit more challenging, we've got a defensive player. So your job is to chase after and just get a piece of the ball. Okay? Block the shot at the end, whatever play you can make to make it challenging for them. Now, if you guys score a layup, doesn't matter who scores it, you'll both get 1 point. If you can stop them from scoring a layup, they get 1 shot at this stage, you'll get a point. We're going to go first player to 4 points. Okay? Any questions on that? Just passing the ball back and forth. Great question, really great question. I should have taken that on board. So let's rotate clockwise with this. Okay, so you guys will go to the defensive line. You guys will go here. You're going to need to grab the basketball and then jump to the back of this line. Okay, take the basketball with you. All right, on my call. Ready, go! Here we go, good passes. Good passes. Good job. Next group. Ready, 1 shot on the rotate. Go! Point to the defense. Here we go, rotate, wait for it, go! Good passes, good strong pass, nice layup, good footwork, wait for it, Yeah, now let's get you, John, to jump to the front of the line, front of the circle. There you go. All right, ready, go! Here we go, good passes. Defense wins. Ready, go! Good passes. Good job, nice job. Finish the layup. All right, wait for it. Still wait for the defense. Go! Passing out in front, target hands to the arm. Good job, making a safe pass, yep. Safe pass. 3, 2, 1, score. Ready, go! Jump off the court, guys. Good job. Nice pass. Great pass. Defense, get the point. Rotate through. Ready, go! Making a safe pass. Nice job. Alright, last one. Last one. Ready, go! Nice pass. 3, 2, 1. Great job. Alright, bring it back in. Let's get everyone just take a really quick seat. Really quick seat. Alright, so once again, progression. We're doing things 1 on 0, we're adding some things to make it a little bit more complex, but then we want to put it in a game situation and test them. I think that's just a really simple drill. There's a variety of other passing drills that you can use. I want to really briefly touch on defense. We don't have a lot of time, but I think individual defense is something that Australia is actually known for on an individual level, where we're very tough, we're very physical in the style of basketball we play. And I think it starts because we do a great job of teaching our kids to play defense at a young age. So just focusing on that is really important. Talk to me about what you know about defense to start with. So if we focus on defensive stance, what are some of the teaching points of defensive stance? Yep, feet parallel. Triple threat's more off the offensive side of things, yeah. but same physical position. Yep, absolutely. Yep, so utilising our hands. Okay, feet shoulder width apart. So we'll work from the base up. So basics, I think, for teaching defensive stance. First one is we want to keep the feet shoulder width apart. Okay, and that's a basic guideline. Some athletes will feel a little bit more comfortable being a bit wider. I know I used to always teach to have the feet as wide as you can possibly get. We've been working extensively at the AIS with our skill acquisition people and video analysis people, and just identifying what the really great defenders do so that we can replicate it. And interestingly enough, most of them actually, had their feet shoulder width apart or a fraction wider. But we found when we went too wide, it was really challenging for athletes to move from that position. So, I think we can overdo it with the width, but most athletes will have a sort of area that they're comfortable with. Second focus is we want to emphasize being low. And when we get into the one-on-one stuff, the emphasis that I have is nose to stomach. So if you just jump up for a second, Sarah, and grab a ball. If I'm guarding Sarah, the way that I know that I'm getting low enough is I want my nose to be level with her belly button, okay? It's probably a bit of an exaggeration, but what we find is when we do something in a training environment and have an emphasis, in game there's usually a little bit of slippage, so the athlete mightn't get quite as low. But nose to belly buttons are a really good gauge for that. There's 2 ways that you can bend your knees, okay? I can bend my knees in a way that when I bend them, my knees come past my toes, and a lot of kids will naturally bend in this way. What you want to have a look at is when they bend, their knees should stay level with the front of their toes, and their backside points out at the back, okay? So it's more bending from the hip than bending the knees to come forward. And that'll actually just give you more balance and take a lot of pressure off the knees. So that's the first, the starting point of stance. So can I just get everyone standing up in defensive stance? We're going to have a look at that. All right. So jump up for a second, just be in regular position. When I call stance, I want you to drop down, get into defensive stance. Ready? Stance! Up. Don't be quicker than that. Defense is about reacting. You need to be able to hear the voice and go, stance! Very good. Hold the position. All right, pretty good. Just make sure your knees are behind your toes. That's really good. Good. Fantastic. Jump up. Excellent. Alright, so now that we've got stance, and stance is critical, but the best stance in the world isn't going to help us because if the offense dribbles, we need to be able to move in stance. So to do that, we talk about defensive sliding, okay? If my feet are this wide apart, I refer to that as big, okay? When I move in defensive stance, I want to go from big to bigger, back to big, to bigger, back to big, okay? And so that's the movement. Now the reason we keep a gap in between our feet is if I go from big to small, I come up out of my stance. And if the athlete changes direction, I'm not going to be able to, if the offense changes direction, I'm not going to be able to react very well. So here's the drill we're going to do with this. We're going to have one line down here in the corner. Okay, so Rod, I'll get you up first, and just a line pointing back this way. Okay, so we've got a chair set up on the block, and once again, I'll often refer to these spots throughout the season. So athletes will learn that that's the block. I've got a chair set up, foul line extended. I've got another chair set up level with the lane line, just outside the 3-point line, and then one more over here. We're going to go through defensive slide through these chairs, and we're going to go really slow. I want to train your body to be comfortable stepping big to bigger. So we're going to be down in great defensive stance to start with, and if this is comfortable for you, see if you can get a little bit lower. Try and get to the point where you're just outside your comfort zone. We're going to work on going from big to bigger. When I slide, I point my toe in the direction I'm going. Heel toe. We're going to go nice and slow through the drill. Okay? Once we get all the way here to this chair, we're going to change direction. We refer to it as a drop step. Now the key teaching point with the drop step is when I drop step, I need to make sure I drop step into bigger. So that when I now come to bigger, I can continue. If I just drop step here and I don't go to bigger, I just come to big, the next step my feet will come together. So it's really important on your drop steps that you go into that bigger stance. Alright, so it'll be 1, 2, 3, 4, nice and slow. There'll be a bit of a burn as you go through. I don't mind if you sort of walk a couple of steps just to come out of it, but with your athletes, we have that expectation that they have to get through the 4 spots. Alright, when Rod gets to halfway to the first cone, the next person will then go. Alright, here we go, down in stance. Yep, big to bigger. Beautiful, slow it down, big to bigger, beautiful, good. Next person up, down in stance, big to bigger, perfect. Nice and slow, drop step to bigger, excellent. Now your chest will always be pointing forward, so if you're not sure which way to turn, just make sure that your chest is always pointing forward. Very good. Beautiful. And just walk it back once you've finished that, Rod. That's excellent. Nice and slow, big to bigger. That's perfect. Big to bigger. Fantastic. We'll talk a little bit about hands. I think it's important that we also teach what we do with hands. In an ideal situation, I won't place a huge emphasis on it here, but in an ideal situation, we would have a big hand down low that just sits in the middle of my feet. So basically just dangles in the middle of the split line of my body, and my other hand would be up nice and high. So the way that works is, I've got my inside hand putting pressure on the ball, and I'm not trying to steal the ball, but if the offense, do you want to just grab a basketball for us? So as the offense dribbles this way, my inside hand will be the big hand. So if the offense crosses over and brings the ball in front, my hand's there to put pressure on. Not necessarily to steal it, but if they do a sloppy job, it's there to put pressure on it. The other hand is up high in the air, and that basically takes away any passes down the court. So I've got one hand up on the pass, the other hand down on the ball. Okay, so if you can add that, that's great, but otherwise, I don't mind if you've got both hands pointing up or both hands wide. Different coaches have different philosophies about that. Same thing now, so we're going to fly through this. We're going to go really quick. So when you go big to bigger, there's an emphasis on really pushing off and just getting those feet moving quick. We still want to keep our head still. If there was a glass cylinder, my head would stay level with it, but we want to go super quick. Big to bigger, drop set to bigger, hands working low. One time through this, we get this good, we're going to just compete for about 5 minutes and show you how we would actually teach defense. Alright, here we go. First person up. Ready, go! Good job, quick, big to bigger. Switch those hands. Nice job. Good. Really good. Great job. Next person up. Here we go. Pick the big up. Try not to bring your feet together. Pick the big up. Beautiful. Outstanding. And we'll walk it just up to half ball. Last drill and then we're done. We can just get 2 chairs, guys. One for either side of the circle. Right, so it's 11 o'clock now, guys. We'll probably go for about 5 more minutes. If you guys, if anyone needs to be somewhere at 11 o'clock, I just thought, you know, if you're happy to hang around for another 5 minutes, we'll finish this drill up and we'll just have a really quick chat. All right, can we get split with half the people on this line, half the people on this line?
Looks like still going.
All right, I call this one-on-one containment drill. So when you guys get your notes emailed to you, you'll have this on there. Basketball. First person on offense, step up. So Soraya, step up here. You're going to be in the middle of the circle facing the ring. Okay, Fiona, you're going to be on defense. Now, we've got 3 rules for you defensively. So just jump in front of Soraya to start with. First rule is you need to be arm distance away from the ball. Okay, so you need to keep, refer to it as keeping a gap. All right, and that's going to prevent, you know, players from bumping and whatnot. We really want to put that emphasis of being arm distance away, so you should always be able to reach out and touch the ball, and you need to be able to sustain that distance. Second rule is you need to be nose to stomach. So you've got to get low enough so that your stance is or your nose is level with her stomach. Third rule is we watch the person's stomach, and wherever their stomach moves, we slide big to bigger to get our nose in front of them. Okay, so if Soraya's stomach's facing out here, you're going to slide across and get big to bigger. And what that's going to cause her to do is if she dribbles to her right, if you get your nose in front of her stomach, she's going to have to change direction. We call that a turn. If you can get 2 to 3 turns or changes the direction from the offense before they get to the foul line, you've done a great job. Okay, that's our objective with this. All right, your job is just to get through the gate. Okay, if you imagine that there's a 10-foot brick wall here between these 2 chairs, 10-foot brick wall there between those 2 chairs, gate, then your job is to get through the gate and then score a layup. Just walk it down to the foul line. Our rules change a little bit when we get to the foul line. Once we get inside the paint, this is our house. And when we have unwanted guests trying to come inside our house, we don't just open the door and let them in. Okay, so our rules change a little bit. If I just keep gapping the ball, and if you say, Ray, if you dribble it forward, and I just keep gapping, eventually I'm going to end up under the basket, she's going to get a layup. So once we get to the keyway, we want to stop gapping as much, and we want to chest up to the player. Hands out, but we basically draw a line from where Soraya is to where the ring is, and we sit ourselves on that line. Okay, we have a no jump rule when she shoots the ball. So if she shoots it, I'm not going to jump to try and block the shot. I'm just going to have hands up, make it a tough shot, and then box out and contest the rebound. All right, that's heaps of information. Let's come back and have a look at that. So 3 rules up here: arm distance, nose to stomach, watch the stomach, and go try and beat her to the spot. All right, let's go have a look at this. Ready? Go. Good job. Keep the gap, keep moving, bit bigger. Not too bad. Great D, great D. Hands up now, no jump. Very good, next 2 up. And we're going to switch offense to defense. Excellent job, great demonstration. Watch the stomach, here we go, watch the stomach. Nose to stomach, watch the stomach slide, big to bigger. Good drives there, here we go, next 2 up. Arm distance, good job. Keep moving back, watch the stomach. Don't go out of bounds, good. Nice defense, watch the stomach, just stay in front of the stomach, that's good. Good. 4, 5. Beautiful. 4, 5 is not going to work, I need to go 4, 3. Slide, keep the gap, right? Watch the stomach. Good job. Arms up now, no jump on the shot. Good. Here we go, next 2 up. Watch the stomach. Good. Slide, big to bigger. Perfect. Keep your space, and defense wings, rotate through. Alright, now I'm noticing, has everyone had a go on, you didn't get a go on defense? Let's have one more go. Okay, well hold up. I'm noticing there's a few of us that are watching the ball. And occasionally we're reaching for the ball, okay? So when we talk about reaching, the teaching point we're looking for there is the shoulder. If you make a movement at the ball and your shoulder comes forward, that's a reach, and it's going to put you off balance. We don't mind having a big hand where your hand's down low, and if they dribble the ball into your hand and you get a deflection, that's a really good result. But if your shoulder's coming forward, you need to be out of position. Now, the reason we say focus on the stomach is players can do things with the ball where they fake with the ball and go the other way. They can do things with their feet where they fake with their feet and go the other way. They can fake their head and go the other way. But wherever their stomach goes, that's where they're going. You know, it's not possible physically to do anything else. So I think that's really critical that we teach focus on the stomach and the belly button as well. All right, let's go through a couple more times, just emphasising that. And one other thing I just want to mention, great job down there on the no jump and just bodying up. I think you guys are doing an outstanding job of that. Here we go. Slide those feet. Big to be a gap, arm distance, good. Keep space, gap, good. Good job. Great defense. We've got 4 or 5 turns. Out of bounds. Next two up. Here we go. That's right. You jump up on that. There you go. Very good. Keep your gaps, right? Keep your gap. Arm distance. A little bit too close. Good job. Slide. Big to bigger. Nice work. Next two up. Here we go. Keep the space. Big to bigger. Watch your stomach. Good. Get in front. Get in front. Right there. Right there. Straight up. Nice shot. Alright, last one. Keep the gap, a little bit too close. Arm distance. So you want to be able to always stay arm distance away. Here we go. Great. 4, 3, 2, good job. Alright, let's get everyone taking a seat just to finish up. All right, 3 teaching points of defense, Sarah. Stance, yep. So we spoke about what stance was. What about the 3 teaching points when you're guarding the ball? Look at their belly, yep. What about the gap? How far away you need to be? Arms length. And you're going to give this to your players to guide. If they're a quicker player, they might be able to get a little bit shorter than arms length. If they're a slower player, pardon me, particularly in relation to the person they're guarding, they may have to get slightly further back. But arm's length is certainly a great guide. That's sort of a default distance for us. And third point was, so we were get low, nose to stomach. We were arms distance. What's the third one? Big to bigger to get in front. Beat them to the spot they want to go to both by getting your nose in front of their stomach. So we'll just really quickly go over some of the things we've covered today. Because my goal with this is, I guess, you know, just to give you some more confidence in being able to run a training session. So, you know, we talked about doing a warm-up and, you know, some of the things, keeping everyone active, keeping everyone involved, making sure that it's fun, warming up their bodies and warming up their brains. There was the body movement and the 2 games that we did to do that. We moved on to dribbling the ball. We focused on waist height, eyes forward, strong fingers, pushing the ball out in front, and we made that a little bit more challenging with some different games. We played octopus and we played dribble knockout. We went on to shooting layups, and we spoke about the footwork for layups, right, left, up, or left, right, up on the left-hand side, knee up on the shot, hitting the $1 million spot. We spoke about the timing of the dribble, and then put that into a competitive situation. Passing, we sort of rushed through a little bit, but we spoke about the technique and then how you can put that into a competitive situation. And then at the end, you know, we did a little bit of 1-on-0 defense, focusing on big to bigger, good defensive stance, and then we put you guys in a competitive situation. So hopefully you've gotten a sense of, you know, some of those key things that we're trying to teach, but also the progression from teaching it in a drill environment, 1-on-0, progressing it into a 1-on-1 environment. And then at the end of the training, if you've got time, you've also got the ability to put it into a 3-on-3, 4-on-4, or a 5-on-5 environment, which is obviously really critical. So if our focus, as an example, for training session was layups and defense, then they could be our focus points throughout the game. You know, and we use the concept of coaching on the run to be able to do that. You know, like just keep reminding them, down in stance, arms distance from the ball, big to bigger as you slide. So yeah, hopefully you guys have gotten some value out of that. I've got some I guess, blank training session plans, and I think that the BA sent me some as part of the course as well. But I've got some more so that you can essentially, at the end of today, put down a little bit of a mock training session for your next training session, You know, and I think if you use some of those progressions, you're going to keep the players, you know, we spoke about players getting ratty or just not really being focused. If you make things fun and you have really clear teaching points, I think that'll really help to take care of that. So, I mean, can I just get some feedback from you guys as to whether that was valuable, whether you feel like you can take some of those concepts and teach them yourself? Yep. And, you know, I mean, ultimately, you want to get them back to halfway at full court, making their layups, but, you know, and just throughout the drills, there's a few things that we've spoken about. So being able to get to, you know, 4 dribbles from halfway there, well, from half court on a layup, it might be 2 dribbles, and then you're onto the ring. So you add little tweaks to drills to make them more competitive. John, do you feel like you can take some of that stuff?
So I guess we may as well take
all
of this stuff over on Wednesday.
We're going to be able to take that, some of those going to be applicable for them. Yeah, and so you're not really sure with your athletes.
I want to have a play with a DVD recorder,
you know,
see if I can
some of
copy
that, you know, just
a video
working,
just onto a thumb drive
with Carmen and just sort of
and then see
keeping
what I can
things
do
as
with it.
competitive as possible, particularly working with athletes with a
Yeah, because it
disability.
might be quicker to copy it onto a
I
thumb
think
drive
they like the
burn a
structure
DVD
of the learning,
to then
but
upload.
they also, the decision making of the athletes with a disability is really, it's a really
I mean, if I can
important
copy
part
it
of
to
So
the thumb drive while I'm burning one, I can be trying to massage it on my laptop for argument's sake.
Yeah.
I'll have to have a play.
How long do you reckon take that play?
Yeah.
Dropbox.
Depends on the size of it. If it's a gig, it's going to take.
And just, you know, a word of acknowledgement is, as you move from a 1 on 0 skill to a 1 on 1 and put it into a game, the quality of the skill will drop off a little bit, and that's where our you know, having really clear teaching cues that we can sort of, you know, relay on are really important. All right, so just moving forward from this, I've got everyone's emails.
Well,
I'll send through, I'll just rewrite what I did today, because there were some things that I've left out of my initial session plan, some things that I've added in. I'll rewrite that, email it through, as well as the session plan that we've got here. Take a copy of the session plan, and also there's a sheet on stretches that you may be interested in. We didn't talk about stretches today. I think because we did the dynamic warm-up, you don't always have to do stretching, but if you've got 2 hours to work within your training time, it can be a good option. But I'll hand out that as well. And you know, thank you very much for coming down and furthering your knowledge in coaching and making yourselves available to coach. You know, the feedback that we give people at the AIS is, you know, we're very fortunate that we work with some of the pointy end of the pyramid, and athletes that have come through domestic competitions, representative competitions, and we're only able to do the work with them that we are because of the foundation that's set at a grassroots level. So thank you very much for offering your time to be coaches and offering your time to, I guess, you know, become more educated. Okay, thanks guys.